So this video is for the pattern drafting of this top. I'll be uploading the sewing video very soon. Let's get started.
So I'm going to start with the front pattern of the basic bodice block. The first thing I'm going to do is to divide that shoulder into two.
The next thing I'm going to do is to connect from that point to the bust point. From there, I'm going to be marking 3 inches down from the bust line at the side seam. Now at that 3 inches, I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch on both sides and then connect to the bust point to have an underarm or get an underarm dart. So this line is actually supposed to be at the bust point, so I'm extending it down. Next thing is to cut out that line through to the bust point. Then I'll be cutting out the upper part of this dart through to the bust point. Make sure you don't cut it off. It should be hanging like this. Now I'm going to be placing that dart on top of the other. I'm closing the dart. After closing it, you can use a glue, sellotape or masking tape to close the dart permanently. Now I'm going to be drawing another line from the armhole to the waistline again. Now at the center front on the bust line, I'm going to be going up by 1/2 inch, and then on that 1/2 inch point, I'm going to be coming in by 1/2 inch again. Connect the lines together like this. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to measure my under bust measurement. That is 3.5 inches. You can see I started measuring at the bust line. That is wrong. You actually have to start at that 1 inch you dropped at the bust point. The bust line, which is the bust point. So at that point, from this point where I'm pointing right now, you are going to be marking your under bust measurements. Mine is 3.5, so I'll be marking 3.5 down. On that line, I'm going to be putting in a dart, and the size of the dart should be 1 inch. So at that center line, you are going to be marking 1/2 inch on both sides. After that, I'm going to be connecting from that point to the bust point, from the under bust to the bust point. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to increase the size of the waist fitting dart. The normal size is 1 inch. I'm going to be making this 1.5 inches. That means I'm marking 0.75 on both sides and then connecting it to the bust point and then to the hip line. So now I'm going to be going in at the side seam on the bust line by 1.5 inches. After that, I'm going to be connecting from that point. Let it pass through the under bust line. So from that point too, I'm going to be connecting to the under bust to get the cap of the top. So make sure it is passing through the line. So this is what I have at the moment. And then at the bust point, I'm going to be going up by 2.5 inches. You can actually go up by 2 if you want to show skin, or you can go by 2.5 or 3 if you want to cover up. So the size of that dart is 1/2 inch on both sides, and I'll be connecting it to the bust point as well. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to connect or make a curve at that upper part of the cap. So just place your curve on it and then it will connect automatically. I'm going to be connecting this part as well. So you just place your curve on it, mark, turn it, and then you make another curve again. So I realize this curve is a bit deeper, so I'm going to reconnect it to my preferred taste or how I want it. Now from that point, I'm going to be marking 2 inches down, 2 inches down from that point as well, 2 inches down from this point, and then 2 inches down again at the end. After that, I'll be connecting all those points together. So you are going to get a curve like this. So now you can see the cap is taking shape. So I'm just redrawing the line because it was faint, or the marker was faint. So this is what I have at the moment. So at this point, I'm going to be marking 7 inches down from the waistline. This is for the peplum. So if you want yours to be longer, you can go ahead and then make it long. After that, I'm going to be connecting that new point with my ruler. So this top has a sleeve, so this part is going to be for the sleeve. So after cutting out the cap, you are going to be cutting out that part for the sleeve as well. So I just labeled the part so that I don't make mistakes when I cut out. I'm going to be labeling the cap as well. So since the upper part is going to be 1, I labeled it just 1. Now I'm going to be putting in the dart allowance, and the one for the waist is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to be marking 1.5 at the waistline. I actually made a mistake at this point because I've already added 1 inch to it. So make that correction and then add just ½ inch to the waist if you've already added 1 inch to it. But then I'll be correcting it later in the video. So at this point, I'm going to be cutting out or separate the peplum from the blouse itself, and then I'll go ahead and then cut everything out. After cutting out, I'm going to be labeling the parts that is side seam, the part that is going to the center front, where it's going up and then down. I'm going to be labeling all so that I don't make mistakes when I'm joining the cap together. So at this point, the upper part of the cap is supposed to be 1, so I'm folding the darts in so that I can tape it down with my masking tape or sellotape. Whatever you have, you go ahead and then tape it down. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to work on the peplum. So I'm going to cut off any excess brown paper from it. So this is the point I realized I was supposed to get rid of the dots. I mean the excess that I added. So I'll go ahead and then make that correction here. So from the waistline, I'm going to be marking the size of the dots, which is 1.5 inches at the side, and then reconnect it before cutting out the excess that I added. So that is it for the dots. Now I'm going to be closing the dots on the peplum because I don't need it. Since I'm going to be slashing and spreading, I don't need that over there. So like I said, I'm closing that dart, then I'll be taping it down with my tape. So this peplum, or the lower part of the top, I'm going to be slashing or dividing it into 3. So I'm dividing this part into 2 with my ruler before cutting out to get 3 pieces. You make sure you're not cutting it off. You are cutting to the end and then not through the brown paper. So this is how it's going to be, and at this point I'm going to cut out the zip allowance at the front and then close the dart or cut it out. So this is it for the front. As you can see, the pattern is set for the front. I'm going to be working on the dart at the body, so you can either decide to close it like this and cut it just one, or you can cut it out and then cut it out into 2 pieces. So whatever or however you want it to be, you go ahead and then do it. But then I'll be cutting it out because I want 2 pieces. At this point, I'm done with the front and I'm going to be working on the back. So at the bust line, I'm going to be going down by 2 inches at the center back. Now I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch on both sides at the bust line. And then connect it to the waist. After connecting, I'm going to be using this trouser curve to give a shape to my back. So you can actually use the French curve if you have. And then from there, I'm going to be marking 1.5 inches at the center back in. Since this is a corset slide top, I'm going to be taking off that excess so that when I lace, there will be that space or gap at the back. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to replacing that dart at the bust line at the side seam, then connect it to the waistline. After that, I'm going to be cutting out the excess brown paper from the top. Remember, I marked 7 inches from the waistline down to the hip for the peplum. We are going to be doing same for the back as well. So this is it at the moment, and then I'm going to be indicating my lacing or the loops I'll be making at the back with my marker. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to cut out that excess brown paper from the top. After that, I'm going to be cutting out the upper part from the peplum, and I labeled it as well. Next thing I'm going to be doing is to cut out that dart or the dart from the back. So this is what I have at the moment, and I'm going to be closing that dart as well. After closing the dart, I'm going to be dividing it or cutting out into 3 like I did for the front. So you divide it by 2 just like this before you cut out. Like I said, don't cut it off. You are cutting through to the end and then not off it. This is what I have for the back as well. I'm now going to be working on the sleeve. So like we did for the front, I'm going to be placing the front on it just like this to get the size at the shoulder, and then connect it to the dart, the first dart line. So just like this, and after that all you have to do is to cut out. So this is the end of part 1, or the pattern drafting. I'll be uploading the sewing videos very soon, so make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you get notified when I post. See you another time. Bye.